X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle of the Atom. This is the weekly X-Men podcast where we rank every X-Men story from A to Z.
I'm Adam.
And I am Zach. And Adam, how is your week going?
So far, so good. I haven't been in any sewers. I haven't had any, evil death squads trying to wipe out my friends. So I feel like I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, man. Jeez.
Sorry.
I was just hoping work was going good. You went dark here.
Well, that's because we're talking about some dark stuff this week. We've got some Morlocks stories that are going to take us down into the sewers. So, there's.
Are you talking about the Morlocks that can be currently found on primetime television right now?
Yes. Every Monday on The Gifted, we've got some Morlocks there. That story just keeps giving. So
I will never get over how weird it is that there's weird X-Men stuff on TV right now.
It's great. I'm actually behind because I've been watching Daredevil instead, which is also fantastic.
I am only
the first half.
I am only 3 episodes in. I watched them all yesterday because I have a child, so I can't binge watch television like I used to.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to fit in like 13 hours of TV just at random. But I think I'll end up binge watching this season of The Gifted as well at some point. But I did catch the premiere and I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. It's got a lot of stuff. Kick is still around, which is weird. Also, Erg. You know Erg, right?
Erg,
From the Morlocks?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Morlock Cyclops?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed.
Yes, he is in this TV show.
I was really hoping that was going to be the Postman, but I'm okay because it's still another obscure X character.
Yeah, let's not pretend dudes know about Erg.
No.
But do you know who I'm imagining did know about Erg?
I'm gonna guess the people who requested this story, maybe.
Exactly. Patreon supporter Jerry Crimmins, I assume, knows just a ton about Erg, which is why he went on over to patreon.com/XavierFiles. He pitched in and said, guys, I like what you're doing. I like the cut of your jib. And I'd like to toss as little as $2 a month your way to get an entire episode handcrafted around my suggestion of the Mutant Massacre. So, yeah. Jerry, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about the Mutant Massacre.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of really cool stuff happening here. It's been a while since, I've read this many times, but,
right.
Taking a little bit more of an analytical view of it this time. And I was kind of surprised at just how many amazing creators are packed into this thing.
Creators like, Claremont, both Simonsons, JRJR, Sal Buscema, John Bogdanove, Terry Shoemaker, Brett Blevins, Rick Leonardi, and Alan Davis.
Yeah, there's even an early Art Adams cover squeezed into a Daredevil crossover cover and a Barry Windsor Smith cover on the Mutants. We've got tons and tons of stuff. If you take the whole event, I think we're mainly covering our mutant stuff here, right?
Which I think actually is the whole event minus the Daredevil issue. Because here's the thing. When we were deciding what to cover, I said, well, I'm going to look at what's printed in my Essential X-Men Volume 6, and I'm just going to read that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, that was just the statement.
I thought you were going to read off which issues were in the Essentials. I don't think it's that different than what's on Unlimited. It's just Unlimited packs in the Thor, the Power Pack, and the Daredevil. But
yeah, Thor. Well, I think Power Pack's less essential. Thor definitely is important to this.
Oh yeah, especially for the Angel story.
Yeah, the Daredevil story takes place right after this is not included in Marvel's Mutant Massacre map. which was the flowchart they published. That's a very bad flowchart, honestly,
Yeah, it's
on
all over the
how to read
place.
this event.
Yeah. But you know what? I can kind of defend that a little bit because this is an interesting example of how X-Men crossovers have worked over time, which is that there is a central event that is happening, and then there are all of these tangential events happening around them. So, you're not getting one straight through. This isn't like Extinction Agenda where like it's one story across all books. But we've had other examples of this, like the Phalanx Covenant, where you have multiple stories happening simultaneously around a central event.
What I think is interesting about this is, this is the first X-Men crossover.
Mm-hmm.
New Mutants and X-Men had a couple of issues where they, follow up on one another's storylines, but this is the first real crossover. And
Yeah.
heck, this is, not counting Secret Wars 2, which was just a nightmare. This is kind of the first Marvel crossover the way we think of them, today. It's really its success is what kicked off everything, because after this came out, it was pretty well mandated that you're going to have a yearly event in X-Men every year up until like 99 or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it was interesting talking to Fabian about, how there was the editorial mandate that Executioner's song was coming up, and that may have influenced like when the Image guys left. So clearly, this is something that became a model for the marketing of the books as we went on, because of the success of how this went. And I think if we look at this just as its own merit, I think it's very successful.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
we've got some really cool things. The basic premise of this, for those of you that have never read it, is that the Marauders have come to basically destroy the Morlocks, the underground mutant population. The Uncanny X-Men are there to defend it. X-Factor is there to defend. But we also, we get these intersecting stories with Thor, Power Pack, and Daredevil. And then there's a intersecting story that has to do with the New Mutants and the Magus coming. Do you say Magus or Magus? How do you say that?
I say Magus because
The Magus.
because I'm pretty sure it's based on the wizard from the Bible, Simon Magus.
Oh, okay. Well, isn't it also like a direct reference to Adam Warlock as well? Like,
Yeah, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Chris Claremont, for some reason, assumed that Adam Warlock was very dead. Now, Chris Claremont assumed that characters would stay dead, would come back to bite him very historically
oh, sure.
in more than one occasion.
Mm-hmm.
But no, he assumed that Adam Warlock was going to stay dead. So, as an homage to Starlin, he named his space alien good boy Warlock and his evil dad Magus. And
Well,
became very confusing in like Annihilation Conquest when there is a story where Adam Warlock and the Magus are teaming up with Warlock and Magus.
that actually just sounds fun.
The Phalanx are involved. I think
sure.
that's the barest. That's about the Howard the Duck line of should we cover this on our podcast or not? And I'd lean towards no because it's very long.
Okay, well that's fair. But this has a lot of incredibly memorable classic storylines in it. Not, I think, notably is the conflict between Wolverine and Sabretooth coming to a head. And then the repercussions of this story extend for decades. We still got backstory from this particular event all the way in Uncanny 350 with the trial of Gambit. So, this really does extend for a long period of time.
Well, that's the one thing that I really like about this is this event has consequence. It has repercussions. When they say nothing will ever be the same again, as your generic event tagline,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of held true for this. I mean, if you
Oh,
look at what happened
yeah.
with just Uncanny X-Men, Kitty Pryde, Colossus, and Nightcrawler get taken off the team. They
Mhm.
are taken out, period. Kitty Pryde and Nightcrawler they don't join the team again for another decade. They
Right.
aren't X-Men characters for a decade after this. They jump
Mhm.
over to Excalibur. And Colossus goes through just a lot of crap before getting brought in during Fall of the Mutants.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it means something. And then more importantly, it makes X Factor, which has a parallel story, have consequence too, because now Archangel becomes a thing. This is when Warren loses his wings. It's
Right. Right.
it's a big deal. Now there's some things that aren't big. Like it's not a big deal with Thor, for example. Thor shows up and says, "Well, this was a crappy thing that happened. I should probably give all these guys a good funeral." And then calls down lightning to burn 40 miles of tunnel.
Well, it's cool to see Thor overlapping here, though, because we do have the Simonsons teaming up to start Walt's run on X Factor. So it's kind of cool to see
Yeah.
him writing Thor and bringing Thor over to lend a helping hand as part of this crossover. But I really got to second what you were just talking about. This event has weight, it has consequence, and one of the things that Claremont was really bent on doing was changing the status quo of what was going on with the characters and not just hitting a reset button at the end of a crossover. And you're absolutely right. These things had long ranging effects that went on for a very, very long time. And they affect a wide variety of characters. Psylocke, Wolverine and Sabretooth, Warlock, you mentioned Angel and getting his wings removed. All of these things are big status quo shifters in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Now, one thing about the event. Well, actually, there's two anecdotes I want to drop, and then actually some analysis, I think, of the event. So let's start with the anecdotes first, because they're fun.
Yeah.
Do you know why Chris Claremont said we should probably have a mutant massacre?
I don't know. What's the backstory here?
So the story, as I know it, is that when they were doing their initial Morlocks story with Paul Smith art, when
Mhm.
Angel gets captured and Storm stabs Callisto with the friggin' heart in that real good knife fight.
Oh, yeah.
Paul Smith drew like 500 characters there because for some reason he was an artist who wanted to draw a big crowd scene.
Yep. Yep.
And logistically, Chris Claremont said, "Well, there's not supposed to be that many. That's a lot. I should crap."
So
So then
this is Paul Smith's fault?
indirectly, yes.
Okay. I love that.
Indirectly, yes.
Yeah.
But now in continuity, this is Mr. Sinister's doing, and Mr. Sinister gets name dropped, but he's not been introduced as a character yet, which I think is interesting.
Well, I love that's such a slow burn. We get an inkling that he's a character, but we have no idea who he is, what he looks like. And going back to this, knowing the history and going, oh, right, Mr. Sinister ordered this. You go back and you read it and you're like, wait, where's Mr. Sinister? He's not in this.
Now, Adam, do you know why Mr. Sinister ordered this?
Well,
In continuity, do you know
that
why?
that is a great question that I don't think probably has a very logical answer, but please enlighten me.
Are you aware of Dark Beast
Yes. Oh,
from Age of
yes.
Apocalypse?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Dark Beast did some experiment stuff, essentially kind of helped form the Morlocks genetically or something. It's unclear. It's not great writing. Anyway, Mr. Sinister finds out about these guys and says, "Hold on. No, some of this is my hand. This looks like I did something because Dark Beast stole a bunch of stuff from the Sinister of his world." And Mr. Sinister, being the petty guy he is, said, "No, no, 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 no. This is like someone forged my signature. That can't exist. We got to get rid of this."
That's about as convoluted as you could get that we have. Well, but that's also a great point about this is that you see this story echoed over and over and over again and made more complicated over the years. The inclusion of Gambit as part of this story is a great example of that too.
Because it doesn't make sense if you read the story.
No,
The Morlocks
no.
didn't need someone, or the Marauders did not need someone to direct
Point them in the
They
right
followed
direction.
The very thin girl.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I think that this is a fantastic classic story. So,
I think it is. The one flaw I think it has while we're reading this,
mhm.
again, is that a lot of stuff happens and a lot of stuff is very interesting and it builds a good sense of dread. But then it's just over. There is not resolution to this story. It's
Mhm.
a tragedy happened, and these are some people trying to pick up the pieces, but you don't get that third act. You don't get the you don't get that story closing. And part of that's due to the fact that this is opening up a new direction for the X-Men. So it doesn't all come full circle till a bit later, but I'm not sure it ever really comes to a satisfying end with the Marauders.
Well, because it is kind of hand wavy, right? That these are clones of, and we
Mhm.
find out that Sabretooth's, which Sabretooth is this? And, you know, it just becomes, you're right. It becomes more complicated than it does actually wrapped up. So, I can agree with that. I just think for what it is, it's pretty impressive,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
mean, this is still a great story. In fact,
Yeah.
I think if we're looking on the list, the first story I want to compare it to and I want to get your thoughts on
Mhm.
is Uncanny X-Men 162 to 167, The Brood Saga.
I like this better. I think
That's fair.
Brood Yeah, I think Brood Saga is pretty solid. It's got that space cosmic fun stuff going on.
Mhm.
Rereading that, I was impressed by it. But I think the sheer quantity of creative power going on here is pretty impressive. Um,
It is. So you
and,
think this goes above number 16?
yeah, yeah. And I think it'd be interesting to compare it against X Factor Fall of the Mutants or Wounded Wolf too, because Fall of the Mutants is sort of, I think we established that that was the high point of the Fall of the Mutants crossover. Um, do you think that's better than this?
I think Mutant Massacre is stronger than the X Factor issues of Fall of Mutants.
Okay. So now we're sort of looking at how high we want to go here.
I
Um,
know it's not better. It doesn't break our top 10 because it's not as good
I
as
was
that
gonna
bar
say,
issue.
yeah, I was gonna
That
say, I
one where
don't,
Colossus and Juggernaut fight in a bar.
yeah, but I think it might be a good number 11. It has a savage quality to it that does kind of match the horror that we see in Cullen Bunn's Magneto 1 to 3 that we have at number 11. But I think that this is a real landmark for the series. If you're going
Mhm.
to point X-Men fans or new X-Men fans in the direction of something they absolutely need to read, I think that this is really necessary. Um, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a fair spot. I think we could debate above or below Magneto, but I'm fine putting it as our new number 11
All right.
because I do think it's better than 13, which is or I guess 12, which is the Murder World story,
Yes.
that first one.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think this is a good new number 11, Mutant Massacre.
Yeah, definitely a classic. So, folks, if you haven't revisited or if you've never read it, make sure you check it out.
Now let's talk about, yeah, eventually the Morlocks came back. The Mutant Massacre, frankly, did not stick. Uh,
Yes, but it does leave the Morlocks in a bit of disarray.
Yeah, I mean, they eventually all regrouped. Callisto got hot for a little while, and then Mask came and changed all that in a weird story that we're gonna take the title of the second issue. Morlocks Take Manhattan from Uncanny X-Men 291 to 293. This was written by professional comic book writer Scott Lobdell with art by Tom Rainey and Rurik Tyler.
Mhm. This is
What, Adam? Adam,
oh,
this is your bailiwick. This is your wheelhouse. What's going on here?
I even remember reading this at the time, going, "This is bad." So maybe we should just talk a little bit about what this is because this is sort of a let's talk about what this is a combination of because we're following up on a couple of different storylines. We're kind of revisiting the after effects of Mutant Massacre. We are following up on McHale, Peter's brother from
His space brother.
Right, from Enter the Void. And then we're also following up a little bit on some Siege Perilous stuff that had happened to Colossus, with, as you mentioned before, Callisto being transformed into sort of a beautiful woman that Colossus is strangely attracted to. For, in that era, Claremont's experimenting with a great deal of things, and Lobdella has the task here of sort of wrapping these things up, and it's a mess.
Yeah. Mikhail's evil now.
Right.
Which kind of comes out of nowhere. They play it off like he's having a mental breakdown, but it doesn't work very well. He does turn a guy into a tree, which isn't very cool of him. And then he takes over the Morlocks and decides that their only escape is the sweet release of death.
Right.
And
yeah. There's going to be a suicide pact. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was out of nowhere. So Mikhail doesn't really work. Callisto feels just wildly out of character here. She's very homicidal in ways that don't really work.
No, and is very attached to the beautiful form that she had post Siege Perilous that does not line up with her character.
No.
It doesn't make sense. It results in the death of the sewer wizard, who uses the last of his healing powers to transform her back.
How? Okay, hold on. People talk about lazy names. Healer has the worst code name, right? Because his code name is both a description of his powers and a description of his only role in any story.
Well, that's all he does.
Has no personality. He is there to be the plot device that heals people.
He's also dressed like a wizard. So
I mean, there's that. Dang it. Look, this episode, there will probably be about 3 or 4 episodes of The Gift that have come out since the time I last watched it and when this episode comes out. But I really hope at that point, Healer the sewer wizard has shown up in full regalia. That would be fabulous.
Yeah, blue cloak, dressed like Mickey the Apprentice. That would be great. What do you think of the art in this? Because we have Tom Rainey doing these 3 issues, and it's an interesting style. What do you think about it?
I don't think the art's great in this. It feels rushed. It definitely feels like one guy's doing breakdowns and another guy's doing the finished pencil work, and then it's getting inked by some guys, and I don't know. It has a very hyper 90s feel to it. It's definitely that second generation, oh crap, we lost the Image guys. We got to find something to, someone who can ape their style.
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting because right before this arc, we have Will Sportatio, who was part of the Image Exodus, and it's interesting to me that Rainey is he's in a different camp. He's not imitating Jim Lee, he's not imitating Rob, but he is taking little hints from Larry Stroman and Will Sportatio's style, and yet he has his own sort of cartoony feel to what it is that he's doing. There's some very interesting double page spreads that kind of look like pinups gone wrong, and it's a very strange story, both in terms of the actual text and the way it's illustrated as well.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't think the art worked out, and I don't think a lot of the story beats for the actual X-Men worked out the way that Lobdell was planning. In particular, everyone's just mean to Colossus in this era, and I think there's a good payoff for that eventually with him becoming a acolyte in, Fatal Attraction. But it does suck to be Colossus right now.
Yeah, that could be the understatement of this era. I mean, it is not fun being Colossus, and it
literally everyone he knows dies.
Yep.
In three subsequent stories, his entire family dies. Oh, poor guy.
Well, and this story does have the potential to be a pretty significant follow-up to Mutant Massacre. We have all of this sort of angst and grieving by Angel that seems a little bit much.
Okay, hold on for 1 second on Angel. Hold
Yeah.
on for 1 second on Angel. Scott Abdel obviously did not read Mutant Massacre right before he wrote this. It was just kind of going off of memory because he gets so many specific details, like not small details, pretty good sized details, just wrong.
Oh yeah, no, the timeline seems mixed up in the way that he's describing things.
He calls the Marauders the Reavers.
Mm-hmm.
He says Angel got pinned up to the same thing where Callisto had actually just tied him up to be her sex slave thing in that
Right.
other Morlock story. Also, Thor burnt all of those tunnels, so probably not gonna have your blood splatter still there.
Yeah. There's not going to be cinder blocks with your blood stains on them years later, right?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. I'm not saying that an editor has to, can't make mistakes, but that definitely felt like Bob Harris just kind of let his money machine keep printing.
Well, I'm sure that this sold lots of copies.
It was a fairly successful era, Adam.
Yeah, I remember. But it's not successful. Even the depictions of the Morlocks are just so different than what we had seen before. They're depicted as sort of like these sloppy Jello monsters, and it's just kind of a mess. So I don't think this is going to rank too high here.
I don't, because it's not great. Also, Gene kills a guy, and it's not very good.
Yeah,
And like Professor Xavier's weird in this. The whole thing's not great.
well,
This is not a story that I wanted to revisit.
well, we have Into the Void down at 118, and that's the Portatio X-Men fight Predators, Judgment War style, and find McHale. Is this better or worse than that?
It's not better.
No, I think it's way worse.
Well, we don't have a ton of way worse. We have 160 stories on the list right now.
Yeah.
Another Colossus story that's a bit below it. I don't think this is better than the Death of Colossus at 126.
I was just about to say that. I would agree 100%. So it's below both of those. How low are we going here?
Is it worse than the Jim Lee Mojo story?
I think so. I mean, I think it's. Yeah, I think it definitely is.
I think it's worse than Adam X the Extreme is back and things have never been deadlier.
Yeah.
Is it worse than Phalanx Covenant Life Signs at 149?
Ooh, that's a good comparison. I think it might be. I mean, that has some fun Wolverine Cable blowing stuff up stuff. It has some.
Nope. Life Signs is the ones with Doug Glock.
Oh wait. Oh, I've got
Life Signs is the bad one.
Oh, that is really bad. I don't know. Maybe this is slightly better than that.
I think
this might be slightly better than that, but I don't think it's better than the Survival Guide to the Mansion.
Yeah, like I'm looking at that. I'd rather read the Survival Guide to the Mansion again.
I think that decides it. It's our new 149.
This is it. This is our new 149. Uncanny X-Men 291 to 293. Morlocks take a Manhattan.
And I would just like to note that I am offended that they went with the Muppets parody there.
What a choice.
Movie of my childhood.
What a choice. What a choice, Scott Lobdell. You're full of decisions, my dude.
I would, though, I would like to talk about this next story that we've got here, because this one was kind of a surprising delight for me. I had not read this before. This is Uncanny X-Men Annual number 18.
From 1994? You're telling me that there was an Uncanny X-Men story in 1994 that you didn't read?
Yeah, I had never. I mean, I remember this cover, but I guess I hadn't picked this up.
How dare you skip an annual, Adam?
Yeah, but I mean, this one was a real mind bender for me. Because there were moments in it that felt like they were plucked directly out of my brain.
Yeah. Let's talk about the fact that you plagiarized this comic for Bish and Jubes, Adam.
Yeah, without ever having read it. I mean, one of the things this podcast keeps doing to me is realizing that like any idea that I might have about the X-Men has probably already been written. And I may be trying to play it for laughs or to make it silly, and this was not played for laughs. And it's just always a weird thing when I realize that there was an Age of Strife, or that Caliban does have candy bars that he wants to hand out to Jubilee. Yeah, these are wild moments for me.
Yeah, Glenn Herdling was way ahead of you, as
Yeah,
was penciler Ian Churchill.
I really enjoyed this very 90s story. It's such a product of its timeline. Caliban has abducted Jubilee and is hoping to exchange her for the imprisoned slash in therapy Sabretooth, who's in the danger room. Um, and it doesn't go the way anybody really wants it to. So for some reason, Kitty Pryde and Sabretooth end up entering the sewer system to rescue Jubilee, and hijinks ensue. How's that?
That's about right. Here's the
Yeah.
thing. Why does anyone ever think it's a good idea to try and rehabilitate Sabretooth? I
Never a
don't
good
understand
idea.
it. We've tried it like 4 times.
Yep.
And here's the thing. Sabretooth is a bad guy. He's not even Magneto, I do some good things sometimes, bad guy. No, Sabretooth is a bad guy. Sabretooth is a murderer. He is a rapist. He is a genocidal boy. He is every bad thing Sabretooth has done. So, like, I remember when the fact that Sabretooth technically has been a member of the Avengers is the worst thing. Like, it's the worst to me. And I understand that during those 6 issues in volume 2 of Uncanny Avengers, he was technically their prisoner. But then in Rage of Ultron, which was supposed to take place 8 months later, he was a member of the Avengers. So what the heck is happening there, Rick Remender? That was a bad plot choice on your part. Sabretooth is a bad guy. And do you know what happens when you try and rehabilitate Sabretooth? You try and rehabilitate Sabretooth, and Sabretooth tries to murder you, which he ends up doing a lot. Not just in this comic, but then later when he guts Psylocke and they have the whole Code Red thing, or whatever the heck it's called, in the middle of the 90s. Sabretooth is a bad guy. Stop trying to make him good. I guess this was Zach's hot take corner. I don't think that was that hot of a take, though.
No, but it is always amusing, this era that, you know, they sort of techno Silence of the Lambs him, you know, that they've got this like very silly face mask on him that doesn't look like it's attached very well. These weird metal gloves that are supposed to stop him from, I guess, clawing people to death. It's just a mess. However, it is a distinct moment in X history that makes this annual pretty enjoyable. Did I mention there is a giant squid that attacks the group of them in the New York City
Hold
sewer
on.
system?
There is not a like 20-foot long squid in the sewers of New York City. That's a bridge too far, Marvel Comics. I will believe this Sabretooth man and this very sassy teen, but I don't believe that there is a large squid.
When I flipped the page and I saw that, I just squealed because I'm fascinated by giant squids and I'm terrified of them at the same time. I'm generally scared of octopi and things with tentacles in general, especially things with tentacles that also have beaks. So I feel like this comic book is like inside my brain. It's really weird. Especially because you get past the core story, and then the backup story is a Bishop danger room sequence that ends with Bish and Jubes hanging out. I was like,
Yeah.
did I time travel and write this?
Yeah, Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, you know, the good collaborator with Jeff Loeb, the guy who did Spider-Man Blue and The Long Halloween and all that stuff.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, they do a real good. It's a good Bishop story. It adds some pathos to the character. It has such a good little like relationship building moment with him and Jubilee that I absolutely adore. And I really do hope in the Uncanny X-Men relaunch, which may be occurring right now. Yeah, it's already come out.
Oh.
Hopefully it was good. We live very far in the future right now, Adam.
I don't know where we are on the timeline, but
I believe it is November 19th, 2009. I guess I have a kid now.
congratulations. And happy almost Thanksgiving.
Yeah. We'll see how that works. I currently do not, but I think by this point I will. Man, that's a weird thing to think about. Regardless, I do hope that in Uncanny, Bish and Jubes get some screen time together. That would be cute.
Yeah, I believe that Jordan did promise on Twitter recently that the big things are in store for Bishop, at least. And they seem to both be featured in proximity on covers and things when I see them coming out. So some exciting stuff there. This book, though, it may not be of the highest quality. I think Ian Churchill's art is questionable. However, it just speaks to the zeitgeist of what was going on in the X-Men at that time. And I find it somewhat just delightful to read.
Yeah, it's a good one shot. It's a very good. It's what an annual should be. It develops some characters. It gives you some insights. It's got some cool pinups. It's a good one shot. Another good one shot we have on this list is at number 50 right now, which is Excalibur Mojo Mayhem, and I don't think it reaches those heights.
No. I want to be fair with this book. Even though I enjoyed it a great deal, I don't think that it's objectively like fantastic or anything like that. I'm trying to think of something else on the list that maybe is a little bit more in line with what we're reading here. And
Well, I think it's better than Fatal Attractions at 97.
Okay, I like that. Fatal Attractions is not a huge, highlight for me. Well, how do you think it stacks up against that Excalibur drinking story, Excalibur 91?
That's very comparable.
Yeah.
Here's what I'd say. I think the Excalibur bar story is better, and I think that Uncanny X-Men 15.inh is probably better for me. It hits what I want out of a comic a bit more, but I think this is definitely better than the first two issues of Exiles.
I was going to say, I think that's the sweet spot right there, because I wouldn't put it against that White Queen scene in 15 INH, but it's definitely better than those Exiles issues. So is this our new 96?
This is our new 96. This is Uncanny X-Men Annual number 18. And that wraps up another episode of Battle of the Atom.
Nice.
Man, I'm excited. We did.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just going to say, Adam, I think Patreon supporter Jerry Crimmins is going to be very happy.
I hope so. I mean, those were some good sewer stories. So thanks for taking us there, sir.
Thanks for the sewer stories, Jerry. Wow. If you want more sewer stories like Jerry, you can go over to patreon.com/XavierFiles. If you pitch in at any level, you get something. If you're at the $1 a month level, we'll let you in on what stories are coming up next. You'll get to be part of our Boda book club and maybe read along so you can know what we're talking about when we're talking about what we're talking about. At the $2 a month level, we're handcrafting an entire episode around one of your suggestions. But it's really cool. If you like the show, go support it. That way, if you can, if you can't, maybe leave us a rating and review on your podcast app thing of your choice. That would be great. If you can't do any of that, tell your friend. You got a buddy who likes X-Men? Say, hey, Nigel. Nigel, you like X-Men. You will probably like these two dinguses talking about X-Men for 45 minutes. How about you give it a listen? And then Nigel, maybe he will write us a rating or a review since you obviously don't have the time. That came off as mean, and I'm sorry. This is not to shame you that much.
Nigel clearly likes dinguses who talk about X-Men, so he's going to leave us a comment. Oh, boy.
Thank you, Nigel. Thank you, Nigel. Now, if Nigel wanted to follow you on Twitter, Adam, since he's obviously new to the show, how would he go about doing that?
Guys, you can always follow me on Twitter at Arthur Stacy, and got new pages of Bish and Jube's Attack on the Mansion coming out every X-Men Monday at adamrec.tumblr.com. I believe by this point, a cool collaboration that I've been doing with Retcon X has come out. It is a album's worth of songs that were inspired by Legion, the FX TV show. So very excited for you guys to hear that. Should be out for at least a week or so by the time this episode comes out. So, I think that's going to be streaming on Spotify, SoundCloud, stuff like that. So make sure you check it out, and we'll put a link up on the page, or I'll have it on my Twitter account.
And if you keep on listening after we're done saying "I hope you survive the experience" part, you can hear one of those songs. I don't have any of the titles in front of me, but it'll be very good, and it'll be all in the episode notes. So go check that out. If you want to check out some other stuff that I do, maybe go over to XavierFiles.com. That's where you get all the latest X-Men news and articles and stuff and things. You can also go over to Twitter, and I'm at Xavier Files. It's all the same thing. People think my name is Xavier sometimes, or Xavier, or Javier in weird case, but that's not really true. It's Zach. I introduced myself at the top of the show, and I think me and Adam have used each other's first name several times in this episode, so I'd hope you'd be picking up on that if you've been paying attention. But yes. I think it's been fun.
Yeah. This is good.
I think this was good. We should probably give a plug, because next week we're going to be talking about Spider-Man. Have you heard of this guy? Oh. He was bit by a spider. It's wild.
Not a mutant.
I mean, no, he's not. Or else his name would be okay. Spider-X-Man.
He's still pretty cool, so we're going to talk about him.
Until then, this has been Battle of the Atom. We hope you survived the experience.
Who are you, really?
I'm you. I'm me. I'm everything you wanna be. I'm you. I'm me. I'm everything you wanna be. I'm you. I'm me. I'm everything you wanna be. I'm you. I'm me. I'm everything you wanna be. I'm you. I'm me. I'm everything you wanna be. I'm you. I'm me. I'm everything you wanna be. I'm you. I'm me. I'm everything you wanna be. I'm you. I'm me. I'm everything you wanna be. I'm you. I'm me. I'm everything you wanna be. I'm you. I'm me. I'm everything you wanna be. I'm you. I'm me. I'm
A chemical. Electrons. In your brain. Sending signals. When people say love, that's what I think of.
I'm you. I'm me. I'm everything you want to be. I'm you. I'm me. I'm everything you want to be. I'm you. I'm me. I'm everything you want to be. I'm you. I'm me. I'm everything you want to be. I'm you. I'm me. I'm everything you want to be. I'm you. I'm me. I'm everything you want to be. I'm you. I'm me. Everything you want to be. I'm you. I'm me. Everything you want to be. I'm you. I'm me. I'm everything you want to be.